right, guys, and welcome to Atlantis Spaceship. Here at the 12 o'clock position, we have our red Zerg player from the team Check 6. It is Sleep. Players are very mannered, not switching colors on me. I love it.
That's nice. They're good kids.
That's right. And over here at the 8 o'clock position, our blue Protoss player from the team Prime, our reigning champion of Fight Club, it is Creator.
Yep, that is correct. So now we know what happened to Atlantis. Instead of sinking into the ocean, it actually went into space.
I'm okay with that,
Became
though.
a spaceship.
Yes, I'm fine with
cool.
that. Especially with the interesting faces they've drawn.
Yeah, that's right. The whole panda ship. Atlantis panda ship.
That's right. But kind of like almost the bat symbol, though, if you look
Oh, yeah, a little bit.
around that. Yeah.
I don't know. You excited about the next Batman movie?
I am. I really am.
I am too, although...
I'm one of the few people that liked Batman Begins more than Dark Knight, though.
Oh, okay. I did like Dark Knight a little bit better. I thought it was a better movie overall. But I gotta say, I intrinsically dislike Batman movies with Catwoman in them. I feel like it is honestly impossible to get Catwoman to be a cool character in film. I know there's a Tim Burton movie. Yeah, I know that's out there, but I don't know, man. Catwoman just never seemed cool to me.
Well, I certainly think there's a possibility for this one to work if we're looking at the success of this crew. Although basically they've thrown everyone from Inception into it. I fully expect Leonardo DiCaprio to pop up somewhere halfway on.
Maybe he'll be Catwoman.
Yeah, I'm
You
okay
think
with
it's
that.
Anne Hathaway?
Leonardo DiCaprio is one of my favorite actors, so I'm okay with that.
Who knows? Maybe he could finally get the character right. Who knows? But going back to PVZ, it's a lot like Batman, right?
Ah, is it?
And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Just give me a chance to think of why.
I'm ready for this.
Okay.
I will tell you, though, that we see a Nexus first out of Creator.Prime. Sleep is, once again, despite the fact that this is Atlantis Spaceship and enormous, still putting down that gas. Doesn't want to take any shenanigans at the beginning of the game.
Yep, that's right. He likes to get his Zergling speed fairly early. It's just kind of a style that he prefers. Nothing wrong at all with that. But so sometimes in ZVP, there's some Stargate play, right? And your queen dies. And that's kind of like Bruce Wayne's parents getting killed.
It's true.
So then you have the roaches come out, or maybe the infestor would be a better example in this illustration. And it burrows and travels underground, sort of in disguise, if you will.
Yeah.
And infiltrates deep into the enemy lair through the cloak of darkness, therefore being a Zerg Dark Knight.
I'll accept that.
There you go. Thank you.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Yes.
Thank you.
Well done.
I appreciate that.
Well done.
All right.
It's almost as much fun as when we were playing the Cards Against Humanity. And what was it that came up?
I don't know. Can we talk about this on the?
Yes.
I don't think
if you guys haven't played Cards Against Humanity, it's like the extreme version of Apples to Apples. And I'm not going to really describe a lot of it, but it came up somehow, or there was a Batman related question like, what is his guilty pleasure, something like that, and I believe I had like dead parents or something along those lines.
See, now it was
awesome.
It's not.
It was very fun.
It was. Like that.
I won that round.
Well, that's Batman for you,
I suppose.
The end. So, in conclusion,
yes. All in all,
I don't think Catwoman's going to be done right.
Okay,
that's it.
That's what we've learned from this.
We don't have a... There we goes the drone for the third base now for Sleep. All right.
This game is actually started identically to the other ones we've seen so far.
Exactly.
Now, Creator, it's very interesting because he started... Literally, this is exactly the same what we've seen. I'm sorry, he did go for Nexus first, but I mean, otherwise the idea is basically the same. But he's gone for 3 different approaches in 3 games. One of them, like I said, was Quick Colossi. Another one was the Blink Stalkers. And the third one was Stargate. So he's given us 3 totally different looks so far, and I'll be curious to see what he favors on this map, which is incredibly large.
Yeah, and he's going to really need to have something good prepared for it. This is the type of map where a lot of Protoss players actually surprise their Zerg opponents with 2 base pushes. I mean, honestly, it seems weird, but I think I've seen more Immortal Gateway pushes on this map than any other one. I know that sounds crazy, but it just seems like Protoss players like to kind of metagame this map against Zerg a lot of times. So we could see something completely different, but a 2-base attack that Sleep may not be expecting could end up working fairly well in this case.
Well, there's a couple of reasons for that. One is, of course, the surprise factor. It's a big map. It's kind of like why Cheese has always worked on Taldra Malta from time to time. Well, if no one expects it, then it's the best possible time for it. So The other reason, though, is that if you look at taking a third for a Protoss player compared to the first 3 maps that we had, all of which had destructible debris and a very easy to take third. This is certainly a much different animal altogether. We've seen some Protoss players, who was it just recently, that actually full-walled this off, this ramp right here, this giant one with a bunch of gateways, almost walled off this and decided to take the Rich Vespian geyser ass there third.
Oh, man, I don't even remember.
Yeah, you know the game I'm referring to.
I remember the game, but I don't remember who was playing
exactly.
it.
Because if you decide to take your third here, you're exposing yourself to a lot of different attack paths, and Zerg players are very adept at being able to break this apart. So, Creator going for what? There it is. We have 6 gates, plus 2 and Blink are already coming up, and he's going to hit a very, very strong time here.
Yep. And that may be a little bit difficult for Sleep to handle. We'll see. I mean, if he hits at the timing that I think he's going to hit at, it's going to be at a point where Sleep is kind of just beginning his Roach production. He's not going to have speed. He's not going to have any upgrades, really. It looks like he's going to have +1 melee for Zerglings, but, you know, that will only go so far against Blink Stalkers. It's going to really make Sleep make a lot of Zerglings.
Now, in traditional Creator fashion, of course, he is going to be able to take a third behind this, but will be able to produce a ton of forces very quickly on now.
He does like all those 2-base timings with a third. You know,
I know.
It's
he's
like everything he does is like, I got to take a third while I do this.
I can't all in. It's just not right.
He's like the only Protoss I've seen that never really had a 2-base phase.
Yeah.
Or at least if he did, it wasn't really broadcast. You know, even I'm trying to think like way back in the early GSL team leagues and the early Code A things that I saw him in, and he just has always played a very macro-oriented style.
Now, as we saw, of course, against Polt, he's he kind of just avoids 2 bases. It's either 1 or 3. He doesn't really have an in-between. It's either I'm going to 4-gate you, or I'm going to play the longest game you've ever played in your life.
He does like the long games. Here comes some Zerglings, and he's going to be able to almost sneak in there. Nice force field blocking a lot of that off.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah.
And Sleep not even going to be able to get any scouting done from that, unfortunately. He does know the presence, of course, of this base down here, even though he didn't see it. He had a Zergling sitting around for a good period of time, so he knows it's up. And Creator starting to add on those Immortals, but, of course, going over to Robotics Bay right now.
Yep, yeah, he's really been loving these Colossus pushes, and they've been working okay for him in this series. Another little Ling run by. He manages to catch, almost catches a few probes, but the army is there just in time, only killing a couple probes total in this game right now.
That's right. More photon cannons going up as well, and we see kind of the problems that I was talking about. Even though Sleep isn't doing a ton of damage right now, it's still pretty easy. Almost caught an Immortal there. It's still pretty easy for Zerg players to just be able to be annoying and pull this apart because of how how exposed this base is.
Yeah. Now, Creator.Prime has an observer in Sleep's base, but even if he didn't, he'd be able to kind of tell what was going on. When your opponent pokes at you with little Ling things and stuff like that, and it's past like the 10-minute mark, the 11-minute mark, you kind of know that you're not going to be in for any sort of like big all-in. This should tell Sleep exactly what's going on, that it is going to be a little bit later game tech. Oh, nice, he does snipe the observer, and Lings get into the main.
Oh, wow.
Wow, 2 force fields needed, and not really even being all that effective. Couple drone kills, but more importantly, he sees everything.
That's right, and he's going to be able to depower 3 gateways here, at least for a little while, so this pylon's still not up now. Now, unfortunately for Sleep, those Zealots do have +2 attacks, so they dispatch his Zerglings very quickly.
He gets in on the sentries, too.
And looks like he's able to kill 2 of them so far. Oh, maybe he'll get to a 3rd and a 4th. No! Barely surviving there. That was pretty crazy.
He pretty much killed them as far as effectiveness goes by having them use all of their energy right there as well. So that's almost as good as getting it killed. They're at low health now, yeah, but getting them to use nearly all their energy is basically like getting a kill because you've made them more or less worthless. Now, this is interesting. Sleep is actually making a ton of Zerglings right now. He's really putting up a lot of pressure with this. This could go okay, but I've got a feeling this is going to be a situation where it may actually backfire a little bit for Sleep, too. You can't pursue this type of aggression for all that long, but we'll see. I mean, some good fungal growths can really change everything.
Well, we'll see if he wants to go for it now. Running down with a few roaches as well. 1-1 is just finished. Creator starting to try and wall this in right now, and it couldn't have come at a better time, I have to say, because the Zerglings aren't able to get around, and most of these roaches are pretty easily disposed of. Now the fungals are hitting a few of those units, but Creator, oh my god, and he reinforces with a Colossus at the perfect time. all of these infested Terrans getting cleaned up so quickly, and Sleep, you were talking about overcommitting, may have done just that.
Well, Sleep is doing some very odd pushing here, too. I mean, you almost never see Zergs move out with Ling, Roach, and Fester like that and be aggressive on such a big map. A lot of them would just continue going straight for Hive. So that's interesting that he did make that decision to do it. It didn't work terribly well, but he didn't lose all of his infestors. He lost a couple, but he kept 4 alive, and that's a pretty good number. I mean, if you lose all your infestors, suddenly you're in big trouble, but if you can keep at least most of them alive, at least you can kind of salvage it to a certain extent.
That's right. So Hive Tech is now about halfway finished for Sleep. He already has the Spire finished with Corruptors on the way. In fact, the first 7 just being added on right now. So it's still going to be about 150 seconds before he's ever able to turn those into Broodlords, though. There are only 2 Colossi out. So a lot of the power is actually going to be on the ground and not reachable by those Corruptors. And frankly, there's only 46 Lings, a handful of Roaches, and a couple of Infestors out to deal with this.
Yep, you know, I love to say it all the time. Imagine if he would have had the forces that he just lost doing that attack at the 3rd that didn't really work. This push may not be quite as scary. Those Corruptors will help out a little bit, but it's still going to be pretty rough for him.
And Creator with his unit positioning is so good, keeping a few forces so he can put on pressure and force this engagement, which he does. One of the Colossi go down pretty quickly. The second is going to fall pretty soon as well. But again, the vast majority of the damage of this army is going to be in these Blink Stalkers. So the Corruptors may indeed take out the Colossi, and they have. But what is left to deal with this huge force of Blink Stalkers?
That's the thing. The Blink Stalkers are really the deadliest unit in the Protoss arsenal. That's what you always see them ending the game with. Even if the high tech dies, you've still got the ability to warp in a ton of Stalkers. And yeah, even with the Fungals and the Lings, I don't know if Creator.Prime's got enough to handle this.
That's right. Well, Creator needs to blink back a few of those hurt units, and there does restart his Blink Stalkers. Once again, these Roaches just not really getting anything down, and there's the GG. So Sleep is now down 3-1.